Hey, welcome. I'm Glenn. I'm here with Steven. Just got back from Japan. Steven's in the process of learning to edit videos. And Steven, can you take us through what you've done here with this little video project about what happens when you enter the hotel?
I just wanted to, with a few photos and a few videos, share a little bit about what it was like and some of the cultural differences, specifically around our experience with the hotel. Do you remember when we first went to our first day there, Glenn, and going to the hotel?
It took a little while to find our way through the streets. Next thing you know, we were by this giant temple, and it seemed like a little alleyway that took you down this dark street where there's no car traffic.
Yeah, it didn't look, it honestly didn't look like a road. It looked like a back alley to me. It was very dark. Mm-hmm. And then eventually we came to, there was a light, but it didn't look like a hotel to me.
No, there are these very plain doors.
Yeah.
They're gold colored, but they're plain doors. And you walked up to them and they opened.
And I still wasn't even convinced this was the hotel, but the doors opened, so we went in. And sure enough, it was the hotel. But it was just a very different experience. There was no big sign, nothing in English indicating this was the hotel. And then even in the hotel itself, really different kind of hallway pattern. The flooring in the hall.
Yeah, it was it asymmetric?
And I'm sure certain personality types, this is just going to drive them squirrely because it's not symmetrical, it's not even. Glenn, the toilets. You can't talk about a trip to Japan without talking about the toilets. What'd you think of the toilets?
I was brave. I tried them out. I got a little out of control. I thought, all right, that's it. But this toilet, it had every kind of temperature and spray pattern. It even had a sound masking sounds. Yeah. And I think there was a deodorizer. There was a deodorizer.
That was an experience. And also the furniture. Seth really struggled with some of the furniture because it was so tiny.
And it was just the bed was a mat on the floor and the very simple pillows. We stayed in a few hotels.
Yeah.
One of the hotels, I noticed that when I got out of the bathroom and I looked at the mirror was all fogged except for just a rectangle where you could see your face clearly with no fog at all. So I think it must have been a heated mirror.
You can't talk about a trip to Japan without talking about the food. Now, our breakfasts were a buffet breakfast, so kind of in that sense, kind of like you might have in Canada, but the food was quite different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that you enjoyed the food. I struggled a bit with it. I'm not a big fish eater, but I know you enjoyed a lot of the food. I began to call it the mystery bowl breakfast because I didn't know what was in a lot of those bowls that we were eating.
Yeah, and I can't say all of it was my favorite either, and I didn't know what they were. I wasn't sure how much to take, but I was watching other people getting a sense of what they were doing, and I was copying what other people were doing, what sauce goes with what.
Yeah.
My favorite, though, I just happen to be a fan of salmon eggs. There was a bowl, like a salad bowl, filled with salmon eggs. Like I've never seen that many salmon eggs in one place. And you just ladle the salmon eggs out and put it on your rice. That was a good breakfast.
We have very different tastes in breakfast, Glenn. I'm more of a Cheerios and toast guy. I did try some toast there. It was so tiny. I felt like Shaquille O'Neal eating toast. It was just so tiny. One of the first things that struck us after entering the hotel was that they had us remove our shoes, and then they also cleaned the wheels of our suitcases.
Yeah.
And
I've never seen that before.
Yeah, I mean, and so different and a little bit uncomfortable as a Westerner to walk into a hotel and remove my shoes is not something I would ever think of doing. But cleanliness is a value for the Japanese people. I guess cleanliness and tradition, because this was kind of a traditional hotel we stayed at. It was interesting for us, we were talking about this, just to see the routines that they set up, or their kata as they called it, around their values. And so they made it really easy for us engaging in their activities or their values by having like a clear visible doorway. This is where you come in, this is where you take your shoes off. It was really clear. And then they had storage.
Right, there's those shoe lockers.
and then you walked around the rest of the hotel in your sock feet.
That's right. Or they provided slippers as well.
That's right, they did. It was really interesting to me to see how they got us to engage in their values and their experience by setting up this kind of routine for us, which became our routine over the week. It became second nature to take off your shoes when you come in, though very foreign for us. Part of our tour with Paul Akers and his Japan experience was that we always had to have our hats, identifying who we were and for safety purposes, and then we also had to have name tags. He said, every day you got to have these. And so he helped you set up a system so that it wouldn't be, so it'd be foolproof.
We learned about Hankatens, which is, it's a warning that this is a change point. So he was saying, you may forget these. It's like a Hankaten. This is a change point. You don't normally have a hat. You don't normally have a name tag. So why don't you put them on your door handle in your hotel room so when you go to leave in the morning, you won't be down there being late for the bus, missing your hat.
Yeah, that's right. And so it was a routine that you set up.
Right, which was another Japanese word, a pokeyoke. So we made a little pokeyoke to take care of the Hankaten.
In that sense, it was kind of similar to the doorway in that it was all set up so that it was kind of, it was mistake proof. You knew to take off your shoes, you knew where to put them. All the systems were in place.
That's right.
And kind of built around a value they had. Paul said to me, I was talking about culture and how to develop a culture of lean at SnapCab. And the one thing that he said to me that really stood out was we should put kata around our values. We should put routines around our values. And so what's important to SnapCab? Ask that question. And then what routines can we put around it? Because that's going to help form and develop a culture that we want to see, a healthy, thriving culture at SnapCab.
That's clear. Yeah, I can't wait to start adding more routines, katas, to build up, support, and enable our values here at SnapCab.